Keep your online purchases secure with privacy.com. Join at the link in the description and get $5 for free off any online purchase. What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So on this channel we take a look at quite a lot of scrapped abilities, but it's been a really long time actually since we took a look at some abilities that once existed within League of Legends but got removed really early on, and as a result I would say that most people probably don't actually know that these abilities ever existed in the game. So today I wanted to take a look at a fun little list I put together of some crazy different abilities that once existed in League of Legends that you probably never knew about. Now, maybe you knew about some of these, but hopefully you find this video interesting or just enjoyable. So starting off our list, we're going with none other than, of course, one of the classical favorites, and that is an ability from Ashe. Originally, Ashe actually had a different ability during the alpha stages of League of Legends on her E. This ability was called Plentiful Bounty, also known as Accumulate Wealth. I think the names kind of flip-flop back and forth. Anyway, what this ability did was grant Ashe additional gold whenever she killed a unit. It scaled based off of level like any other ability, and it began by giving her a bonus gold of 2, then 4, 6, 8, and eventually 10 at max rank. It also added the toggle known as Spell Glow. However, this ability was later changed to Hawkshot in patch 1.0, which was released in June of 2010. Hawkshot retained the passive gold gain on kill, but allowed an active to shoot the untargetable scouting hawk towards the target location. Of course, as we all know, Hawkshot has remained pretty much untouched actually since this update, and it fits Ashe's kit much better than this boring old bonus gold passive effect, I have to say. Next up we have something for Master Yi. Now he actually used to have an ability called Vanish. If you think the name suggests a Master Yi that can go invisible, well that's just about right. So Master Yi actually had a passive effect that allowed him to go completely invisible for exactly 1 second when he entered a brush or used Alpha Strike. Now this ability is actually quite an interesting thing because it's a relic of the old design limitations of League of Legends back in the day. Now to give you some context here, back in the early beta of League of Legends, Master Yi's Alpha Strike, which is now his Q, was actually originally on his ultimate instead. Now it might sound really overpowered, and that's because it kind of was, and a consistent passive that maintained invisibility sounded really strong, but I actually believe that the reason why this ability existed is because at the time, Master Yi didn't actually go invulnerable when he used Alpha Strike because they didn't have the technology to create the effect back then. So because they didn't have the technology to make Master Yi kind of get removed from the game when he used Alpha Strike, they added this ability as a replacement to kind of give him this like pseudo invulnerability effect. With that being said, it's definitely pretty interesting that they had it activate every time he also entered a brush, but I wonder if that's maybe because of just the similar technological limitations at the time. I guess I'm not too sure what the motive was behind that choice, but nonetheless, it's definitely super interesting to see what kind of things used to exist back in League of Legends as a result of the limitations in the technology at the start of the game. So moving to a slightly more modern champion, we have Gangplank in his original E, which was known as Raise Morale. Now, those of you who played Gangplank before his rework probably know about this ability. It actually only got removed from the game around Season 3, but there was an early version of Raise Morale that you probably never knew about. It was pretty similar to his Season 2 version, but the ability in total had a passive as well as an active. The passive would grant Gangplank bonus attack speed as well as bonus movement speed. Now this was later changed to grant bonus attack damage instead of attack speed, and the bonus attack damage scaled starting at 8, and then 10, 12, 14, and then finally maxed out at 16. The passive movement speed started at 3% and then went to 4, 5, 6, and eventually 7% at max rank. However, the kicker here is that on top of this, the active portion of his ability actually had Gangplank kill an allied minion to inspire nearby allied champions. This would then disable the ability's original passive bonus, but inspired him to gain more additional bonuses of attack damage and movement speed for a duration of 7 seconds, and it also affected allies within range but with only half of the relative stats. The bonuses inflicted for the active portion of the ability was a bonus attack damage of 12, 19, 26, and eventually plus 40. This is a really huge jump from the static passive, which capped at 16, and he would also gain movement speed of 9, 11, 14, 17, and eventually 20% at max rank, which of course was the enormous jump from the 7% that was capped on the static passive. And as well, of course, he would not get the passive benefit when the ability was on cooldown. Now this ability in particular is very unique because it was one of the only abilities that ever existed in the history of League of Legends that actually killed an allied minion, and the concept itself almost in a sense feels like it fit his pirate theme really well. Kind of a shame that he doesn't still have something similar similar to like this in his current kit. However, I have to admit that it's pretty reasonable that Riot removed the minion denial mechanic. It's something that was just extremely overpowered and just caused all sorts of really imbalanced strategy, and in general just, I think, doesn't have a place in League of Legends. This ability was later changed in April 26th of 2011 in Season 1, and now had Gangplank instead fire into the air, kind of inspiring himself and his allies. However, during the Juggernaut rework that happened later on, the ability of course was completely removed altogether and changed into something else, as Gangplank went under serious changes to his design and character. Now next up we have an ability from Taric. Now Taric's original ultimate from before his rework is something that people probably know, but he actually had a rework during Season 1 that changed his ultimate way before anyone really started playing League of Legends in general. So Taric's original ultimate was called Radiance actually, and it was a toggle effect, which is quite an interesting portion for an ultimate ability. When toggled on, it emitted a brilliant light which healed himself every second while consuming mana per second. While active, it also emitted an aura that granted him and nearby allies bonus attack damage. More specifically, 50% for champions as well as 16.67% for minions. Not to mention, there was an iteration to this ultimate that actually also healed allied champions on top of the already mentioned stat buffs. Now this ultimate was actually super overpowered, and it begun to get nerfed over and over and over again. It was nerfed so many times actually before the game was actually released. Eventually it was nerfed so hard that this ultimate became pretty much useless because the stat bonuses it gave were just so low. The thing is that most people don't actually remember this ultimate because it was changed after all of these excessive nerfs, in which the new ultimate became a normal active ability with a different effect. Taric's new ultimate instead would have him slam the ground with his hammer, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies. Now that's the ultimate that most of you guys probably remember for pre-reworked Taric. And the ability actually had a 350 base damage with a 50% AP scaling, which made it really strong for a support character. After the ability was used for the next 10 seconds, Taric would also gain bonus attack damage as well as bonus ability power, and also have an aura that granted the 50% bonus to all nearby allied champions. And that ultimate was of course later changed to what we know today, with his rework to match the support playstyle that he was originally intended for. Next up we have an ability from Dr. Mundo, and it's quite an interesting one. One of his original abilities was actually known as Adrenaline Rush. When Dr. Mundo was originally added into the game during the beta phase of League of Legends, he started with this passive ability, and it actually reduced all crowd control effects that were inflicted onto Dr. Mundo by 30%. However, being a little bit lame and kind of boring, it was actually changed on September 19th of 2009, only 17 days after his release, to the passive that he still has in the game today. Moving on to the next ability on our list, we have Malice of Spite, that was originally an ability on Evelyn's kit. Back in the early days of Season 1, Evelyn had a stun effect, and then later a slow on her auto attacks that would happen to the first attack she did when coming out of stealth. Her original ultimate, however, at the time, which was called Malice of Spite, had a passive that granted Evelyn health when scoring assists on enemy champions. The active also had Evelyn gain bonus attack speed as well as bonus movement speed for 10 seconds. If Evelyn scored a takedown or assist, then Malice of Spite's cooldown would get refreshed, allowing her to get the bonuses once again. She was actually able to activate this while she was in stealth to assist her in a gank or sneak into a teamfight really easily. However, this ultimate was completely removed during her rework back in Season 2 on July 19th in 2012. And next up we have Twitch's original W, which was known as Debilitating Poison. It's worth mentioning that this was way back when Venom played a much bigger part in his kit as a whole during the early days of the design of his character. Essentially, his W had an active effect that allowed Twitch to slow nearby enemy champions by 30%, adding an additional 6% slow for each stack of deadly venom that was applied to them. The slow duration would last for 2 seconds, scaling with level and capping at 4.4 seconds. However, the ability was later removed in favor of his Venom Casket on July 19th in 2012 when his entire kit received a rework essentially. And next up on our list we have one that's another particularly interesting ability, and it's Kassadin's original Netherblade. So originally his Netherblade allowed Kassadin's physical attacks to actually completely steal a percent of his target's mana, gaining twice the mana drain from these attacks. So for example, if Kassadin hit a target, he would steal, for example, something around 20 mana or so. I believe the actual number was somewhere around 8% of the current mana of the opponent. So you could attack a target, steal 20 mana from them, meaning that they would lose 20 mana, and in turn you would be granted 40 mana. The entire ability was present because at the time, stealing and draining mana was actually somewhat of a common mechanic within League of Legends. I don't want to say it was too common, but there were a few champions here and there that did have it in their gameplay. Now this ability was later changed, however, to only restore mana on hit and not actually leech it from opponents when the mana drain effect was removed from the game entirely. And eventually later on, Kassadin's Netherblade was changed to only deal damage, and then eventually its last iteration came to be the one that we still know today. Special thanks to our sponsor, Privacy.com. Protect your online purchases and get $5 for free using Privacy.com at the link in the description. Privacy.com makes it so that purchasing online is more secure, simple, and fast. You can create a virtual card instead of using your own card information with just one click or by using the browser extension. And since they help you to use virtual cards for your purchases instead of your own payment information, you won't have to worry about forgetting to cancel a subscription from a free trial or being billed without your consent from random websites online, or ever just giving out your information to sketchy websites in general. With just one click, you can autofill your dynamic purchase into the checkout form to make purchases faster, easier, and much more secure than using your own debit card, and it's 100% free. And in case you're worried, Privacy.com has top-notch security. It's upheld to the same standards as your bank and uses military-grade encryption to hold any and all sensitive information. And the best part, it's completely free to use. If you sign up at the link in the description, you'll get $5 from them to spend on any online purchase. Since it can be used for really just any online purchase, it's literally free money. Go to privacy.com/Gaming Curios and sign up now. Again, you can sign up at privacy.com/GAMINGCURIOS to get $5 for free on your first purchase today. And big thanks to them for sponsoring our videos. Anyway, that's just about going to wrap up all the abilities for today's video. I thought this was a pretty cool, interesting look at some abilities that used to exist in League of Legends that kind of show some of the old design tropes, things that happened in the early days of League. Definitely let me know in the comment section below which removed ability was your favorite, or maybe which one you'd like to see make a return into the game today. If you enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button, and remember to subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.